The verdict of obedience of the Sharia court to the disobedient Muslim wife. It is a love story written in English and translated into Arabic by Dr. A. Ahmed. Copyright. All rights are reserved. All characters in this book are fictitious, and any resembling to real people, living or dead, is purely coincidental. No part of this book may be reproduced, stored in a tribal system, or transmitted in any form or by any means without the prior written permission of the author, except by a reviewer who may quote brief paragraphs in a review to be printed in a newspaper, general journal, or a school or university magazines. This is a love story about three Muslim girls who were subjected to gross injustice, severe violence, and abhorrent persecutions by Muslim men, religious leaders and imams, Sharia court judges, and police officers in the Islamic community and the religion of Islam and its hostile, hateful, and abusive teachings against human rights, which are innumerable. For example, beating of women, child marriage, circumcision of private parts of Muslim girls, which is known as female genital mutilation, or FGM, slaying them in oral killings, inequality between males and females in inheritance, testimony in court, marriage, divorce, men's guardianship over women, controlling their lives and destinies as if they are minors, physically handicapped, or mentally retarded, and forcing them to wear the ibayas, veils, hijabs, niqabs, or the humiliating black burqas as if they are frightening ghosts. Muslim men are allowed by the Quran to have sex, or rather rape, without the need for marriage, captive women of war, such as wives, daughters, sisters, and even mothers of the defeated enemies, who are called unclean infidels. Many Islamic countries prevent women from going to schools and work, and they are forbidden to practice any kind of sports, and they are not allowed to go to gymnastics, beaches or swimming pools, cinemas or theaters, and none of them is allowed to leave the house without her husband or with a muhram man. The woman is forbidden to marry, such as her father or a brother. They are also not allowed to fall in love with men before marriage, or choose their future husbands or life partners. The story is about three innocent girls, namely Intisar, Firdaus, and Mona. Second part, the tragedy of the two innocent sisters, Intisar and Firdaus. Chapter 1, the tragedy of the kidnapped and raped second innocent girl. Before Mr. Osman al-Taib traveled to Gadarif city for an emergency meeting with his partners in crime, he made some arrangements regarding his captive bride Firdaus. With the help of his despicable servant Harun and the corrupt nurse Zakiya, he managed to move the unconscious body of the dying girl Firdaus to a rented apartment in the most affluent area of the capital city called Al-Amarat. Then the evil old man ordered his wicked servant Harun to guard his first wife day and night, and took with him his nurse Zakiya Karamallah. He told his servant to feed her nothing but a little food in her empty and hungry stomach, and a few drops of water in her thirsty mouth, and that should be given once a day. She must be securely restrained by strong ropes and long chains, and if need be, Harun must not hesitate to chastise her with his big stick. The rope should be removed from her hands at the time of feeding her, but in no uncertain terms, her legs should not be released from the chains. Besides the strong ropes, the all despicable man brought a very long and strong chains and tied her legs and tied them to the bed. When she needs to go to the toilet, the chains will keep her under Harun's control. The evil old man had promised his vile servant that he would return 2 days in 2 days with his nurse Zakia. The first day passed quietly between the guard Harun and the imprisoned bride Firdaus. On the second day, the foul guard discovered that the imprisoned bride had a high fever. He tried to restore it to normal using a damp cloth, but his treatment was in vain. The fever continued to increase. The evil servant thought the fever might be caused by her hunger. Wherefore he made some food and started feeding her half unconscious body by inserting it into her mouth. After a short time, she vomited the food. Then he got some over the counter medicine and put it in her mouth. This also did not reduce the fever. When the fever reached high levels, it affected Firdaus' brain. She started to speak some confusing sentences. She would smile sometimes, then laugh out loud. Her laughter sometimes turned into a loud scream for help. Harun became very worried. He believed that the new bride had lost her senses and gone insane. He repeated his treatment several times, but to no avail. In this pathetic situation, the second innocent girl, Firdaus, who was kidnapped and raped, stayed all day without any proper treatment. On the third day, her condition became serious. The guard Harun knew that Mr. Osman Al-Taib would hold him responsible if the new bride died. He put his hand over her heart to see if she was alive or dead. He found that her heart was beating faintly. He looked at her face and found it very pale, and even her lips were parched. She appeared to be she appeared to him to be dying. He became very frightened, and his mind became restless as well. He is now in big trouble. He found himself having to choose between taking her to the hospital or escaping before she died. While he was in that dilemma, the evil servant heard the doorbell ring. He rushed to the door and opened it. He was expecting to see the old man, but he saw the beautiful nurse Zakia standing in front of him, and her face showed that she was carrying bad news. Her pretty face had completely changed in those few days. It looked as if she had been hit with many slaps. Her eyes are frightened, and are surrounded by black circles. Her hair is not arranged and combed properly. Probably. Her clothes are dirty and torn. He concluded that she had a problem with the old man. He told her what he did to you. Instead of answering his question, she pushed him aside and entered the room. When she saw Firdaus, she opened her eyes wide and put her hands over her mouth. Then Zakia looked at Harun with a big question mark on her face. The servant told the nurse that she was not dead yet, but was dying anyway. If Mr. Osmateb delays his arrival for another day, she will surely die. Mr. Osmateb will not come for years. He was arrested, said the nurse. Who arrested him and why? Gadari police had arrested him for his involvement in a bribery and rape crimes. Harun shouted, Rape? Did he rape you too? It is not me. It is another kidnapping and rape. This means that this girl is not his wife. He kidnapped her from the city of Gadarif and falsely claimed that she is his new bride. Not this girl either. There is another innocent girl who has been kidnapped and raped by some gangsters who are loyal to Mr. Osman al-Tayyib. What are we going to do with this girl? She is dying. We must take her to the hospital immediately. This will put us in trouble. Any doctor would know that she was beaten and starved to death. She was also brutally raped by the old man. What do you want us to do with her? If she dies like this, we'll be in even bigger trouble. will get involved in a rape and murder case. You are right, Ms. Zakia. Hospital doctors and nurses could save her life. But first, let us remove the chains and ropes from her hands and feet. We must also put her clothes and shoes on and comb her hair properly. Then the vile slave and the dissolute nurse spent an hour dressing the second innocent girl in new clothes and shoes. When they removed the ropes and chains and combed her hair, she began to look human again. Despite this, the fever remained high in her exhausted and brutally raped body as before. After that, they hid all the tools the demonic old man and his evil servant used to beat, torture, and rape Firdaus. When they finished, Nurse Zakia picked up the phone and called the hospital. Then the evil old man, two wicked servants, sat silently beside their victim. Every now and then the nurse was examining Firdaus' heart. The more she did, the more fear and anxiety her face showed. Half an hour later, a hospital ambulance and an unmarked police car arrived. A doctor and two nurses entered with two other men after Harun opened the door for them. While the doctor was examining the girl, one of the two men began to interrogate Zaki and Harun. What is your relationship with this girl? The case said, we have no direct relationship with her. We were hired by her husband to take care of her for a while. I am her nurse and this is her servant. Where is her husband now? He is in jail. What jail? Gadari prison. Why did he go to jail? He was arrested for bribery. The nurse deliberately avoided mentioning the crime of rape for fear of being involved in it one way or another. What is his name? His name is Mr. Osman At-Taib. Do you know where this girl's parents or relatives live? We know that she is from the city of Gadarif, but we do not know any of her relatives. What is her name? Firdaus Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir. How old is she? 15 years old. Do you know what happened to her? Not at all, sir. Then the man turned to the evil servant and said, what about you, sir? I also don't know anything, sir. In that case, we have to hold you pause until we know what happened to her. After checking and examining Firdaus' condition, the doctor said, it is too late. The girl is dying. Anyway, we have to rush her to the hospital. The two nurses then carried Firdaus' unconscious body onto a stretcher and carried her to the ambulance. When the doctor and the two nurses left with the ambulance, the other two men stayed with Zakia and Harun for further interrogation. Then it turns out to the two vile servants that the two men are police men without their khaki uniforms. When the ambulance arrived at the hospital, the unconscious body of the second innocent girl was taken directly to the intensive care unit. When the doctor examined her again, he discovered that she had been beaten, tortured, and starved for several days. She was also brutally raped. She was shackled and chained for a long time. Her head was hit with the rods. Her body is full of injuries. Then Khartoum General Hospital informed the police of the doctor's report. Meanwhile, the unconscious body of the patient Firdaus was kept in the intensive care unit for 3 days. After showing some recovery, she was transferred to the woman's general ward. While she was in the hospital, the second innocent girl Firdaus was loved by all the hospital staff. Everyone who sees her miserable condition takes pity on her. 5 days later, she emerged from her long coma but was unable to speak or walk. In this pathetic situation, she lasted for a week. On the 8th day, she began to speak in a faint voice and in a whisper. The nurses showed great interest in her when they learned that she was a rape victim and an underage girl of 15 years old. She told them that she was severely beaten, starved, and brutally raped by an old man who falsely claimed to be her lawful husband. A nurse named Amal became her friend. The second victim of the crime of kidnapping and rape spoke to the kind nurse about her boyfriend Salah. Nurse Amal tried to assure Firdaus that she would soon recover and see her lover again. Firdaus asked her new friend, to help her write a letter to her lover. Nurse Amal agreed to write the letter on her behalf. In great pain and sadness, Firdaus managed to dictate to Amal her first love letter to her friend Salah. On the same day, the kind nurse mailed that letter to the address of the dying beloved girl's lover in Gadar City. Meanwhile, as the doctor expected, the second innocent girl's condition did not improve much. Her body lost a lot of weight. She suffered a lot of physical and sexual abuses. In fact, the second innocent girl Firdaus was abused, raped, and tortured more than the first innocent girl Muna. The first girl was raped and abused for 1 day, while the second girl was beaten, tortured, and raped and starved, chained, and imprisoned for several days. The two innocent girls were kidnapped by 5 men and taken to vicious sex predators who brutally tortured and raped them. The only difference between the crimes of kidnapping and rape, the first is a crime punishable by law, while the second is a legitimate crime justified by Islamic law and supported by society. 2 days after the second innocent girl, Firdaus sent her first love letter to her lover Salah. She began slipping into a coma again. Accordingly, the doctor put her in the intensive care unit once again. She continued in a comatose state inside the ICU without any progress. Moreover, she continued in a state of deep coma for several days until the doctor finally declared her clinically dead. During that time, her new friend, Nurse Amal, did everything she could for her dying patient. She washed her clothes every day. She cleaned her body and combed her hair regularly. Sometimes she would spend the night at her bedside. But the innocent girl, Firdaus, is not aware of all this caring and merciful treatment. The loving nurse wished that the boyfriend Salah would come before his beautiful girlfriend's soul separated from her dying body. In the meantime, after the arrest of the evil witch doctor Haj Muhammad, the older sister Farida returned to Abu Dhabi after her short vacation ended. She wanted to stay and fight those evil men who wronged her two younger sisters, Intisara Firdaus. But because she's the only breadwinner in the family, she had to continue supporting her large family and return to her job in a foreign country. However, she returned to Abu Dhabi as a broken hearted girl, feeling like a soldier who had gone to a war in a far country and returned to her homeland as a defeated and humiliated girl. She blamed herself for not protecting her sister Firdaus from the evil old man. She knew that if anything had happened to her underage sister, she would live the rest of her life with a troubled conscience and a broken hearted girl. Nevertheless, Farida encouraged her sister's boyfriends with many words. Sami, Salah, Walid, Muna, her brother Osman, and her two sisters, Badriya and Intisar, have promised to continue their fight until complete victory over all the conspirators. Osman assured her that he will not return to his boarding school in Kassala city until Firdaus is rescued from the evil old man and transported safely to her city and family. He also swore by God that he would not allow any of those wicked people to touch the finger of of his sister Intisar. However, on the day the second innocent girl's first love letter arrived in Gadaref city, her boyfriend Salah and his friends planned to go for a picnic. The picnic was planned to celebrate the victory they achieved over their enemies, the evil old man Osman al-Tayyib, the notorious womanizer Haj Muhammad, and the six criminal kidnapper rapists, the magician Omar Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir. This plan was made a few days after the arrest of the Grand Wizard Haj Muhammad by the police inspector Hussein. They are very happy when the three of their enemies are captured and placed in remand inside prison, awaiting their trials and due punishment for their heinous crimes. They believe that the remaining three enemies, the evil imam, the bad politician, and the selfish Hassan, are not as dangerous as those who have already been arrested. They also believe that the second innocent girl Firdaus will be safe as long as the evil old man is in prison. Salah is quite sure that one day his girlfriend Firdaus will write to him and tell him where she is. On this hope eagerly awaits the arrival of her letter. Therefore, the first thing he would do every morning was check the mail. So that day, even though Salah and Sami are in a hurry to go for the picnic, they decide to look at the mail first. From the house, the two friends rushed to the post office and opened the mailbox. The lover was overjoyed when he found the letter addressed to him from his beloved girlfriend. The sender's name is written as Firdaus Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir. Sami also became very happy. Then the friend Sami told the happy lover Salah that Firdaus' letter should be read in the hearing of all their friends because not only she is loved by him but all the other friends. Salah accepted Sami's proposal and decided to read the first love letter in the presence of all their friends. So the two happy friends picked up the love letter without opening it and rushed to the meeting place in Intisar's house. When they got there, they found Walid, Badriya, Sar and Usman ready to take in the picnic. They have prepared many things. They spent a lot of money buying everything needed to have fun at the picnic site. Sami exclaimed happily, "We have good news. The first love letter from Firdaus finally arrived for her boyfriend." Salah said happily, "And we decided to open it and read it in front of you all because Firdaus, as Sami said, is dear to all of you." Shouted Intisar. "We all agree with Sami." Badriya said, "Yes, Intisar and Sami are right." Wali said, "I have a suggestion that the letter should be read at the picnic site." Salah said, "No way. I can't wait another hour. The love letter must be read here and now, and then we can go to the picnic with happy hearts." Intisar said, "I suggest that Muna read the letter to us." Salah said, "I agree with that." When he said that, he handed his first love letter to Muna for her to read. The first innocent girl took the envelope and smiled. Then she opened it carefully and, in a soft and sweet feminine voice, began to read it. Chapter 32, The Love Letter from the Second Innocent Girl to Her Lover. My dear lover Salah, I miss you so much. Since we separated from each other in the city of Gadarif, my life has turned into unbearable hell. I waited for you to come and save me from my kidnappers and the evil old man, but you did not come. I don't blame you for that. I know if you knew where I am, you would have come and saved me. I also know that you love me and will not hesitate to sacrifice your life because of me. I also assume that Farida, Intisar, Sami, and Usman might have looked for me everywhere. The five policemen took me to Khartoum city and handed me over as the disobedient and runaway Muslim wife to the evil old man Osman al-Taib. He was staying at the Hilton International Hotel when the police brought me to him. He bound me with ropes and chains as if I was a mad woman or a dangerous criminal. He beat me with heavy stick and did not feed me for 3 days. I was starving to death. He hired another evil man to torture and imprison me. This man has done me more evil than the vile old man. With the help of that ruthless man and another corrupt nurse, the evil old man raped me brutally and repeatedly. During my unbearable suffering, I hated myself. In particular, I hated my sister Intisar who put me in this trouble. But, my dear Salah, you should know that I do not hold you responsible for what happened to me. I blame Intisar and Sami for that. My sister should have known that her love for the rich man's son would not work out for good. We, her family, and many of our good neighbors and friends had warned her in advance, but her selfish love blinded her eyes and made her refuse to listen to the wise advice of her mother, neighbors, and friends. Even her lover Sami is another selfish boy. He defies society and challenged his father's authority. He should have known that his arrogant father would not allow him to marry a poor girl like my sister Intisar. Even though he knew and understood well that his rich family would not accept a girl from a poor family, he still bled with fire and continued his crazy love. His blind love led his wicked father to do all these evils to me. Dear Salah, my heart bleeds constantly, and my eyes always shed tears. I did nothing to deserve this cruel torture and punishment. I have no hand in this deadly fight between father and son. I did no wrong in this crazy love for my foolish and selfish sister and her stupid, arrogant lover. They made me pay for their stupidity. I became the scapegoat who takes all the blame for their socially unacceptable love. Due to the constant torture of my body by the demonic old man and his evil servant, I was sick for several days. He was supposed to take me to the hospital right away. Instead, he kept me in his house for several days until my condition became serious. Finally, I was sent to Khartoum General Hospital. I was in the intensive care unit for several days. I am now in the women's general ward. My health is still deteriorating and bad. I have lost a lot of weight during this difficult time of kidnapping, rape, torture, and imprisonment. I know I will die soon. Last night, two doctors spoke in English and understood from their words that they had given any hope of keeping me alive. Anyway, I'm glad I'm going to die soon. Death is better for me than living in this evil world. I know that if I lived any longer, I would always be the victim of rape and torture by the old master who falsely claimed to be my lawful husband. He believed that he entered into a halal Islamic marriage contract with my evil brother Omar, and the Sharia court ruled that I became his disobedient Muslim wife who must remain in the house of obedience. The law allows him to imprison me, beat me, and rape me until I'm disciplined and tamed like a dangerous wild animal. I may die before this letter reaches you. It is the desire of my heart to be your life partner and to enjoy life with you. But the world is so full of evils that this desire cannot be fulfilled. Dear beloved Salah, I would like to tell you that you are a great man. You taught me the meaning of love and the purpose of our life. You are the only person I have ever loved in my short life. I want you always to remember me. My heart cries for you. Many tears blinded my eyes. Please, Salah, come to me as soon as possible and hug and kiss me. Come and heal my many wounds and remove the pain from my heart. I want to see you before I die. Please, dear Salah, come quickly and take me in your arms before I die. I really miss you. In our short love, you gave me so much wonderful time. Come, dear Salah, and save me. I miss those kisses and hugs we enjoyed during our short visit to Khartoum city. Goodbye, my dear Salah. With sincere appreciation from your loving girlfriend, Firdaus Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir. While the fairest innocent girl Muna was reading the heartbreaking love letter from the second innocent girl Firdaus, all her friends and sisters were crying silently. Even Muna weeps as she reads Firdaus' first love letter to her lover Salah. When she had finished reading and looked at the others, she saw that they all covered their faces with their hands and turned their heads away in shame. Their eyes and cheeks were wet from many tears. Intisar is the first to break the silence. She shouted aloud, "Yes, because of me, my innocent sister Firdaus was brutally tortured and raped to death. Because of me, she was kidnapped, beaten, imprisoned, and raped." Her brother Osman shouted, "I'm a coward and I am not supposed to live. I couldn't protect my younger sister with this hand. This useless hand must be cut off." When he said these words, he started hitting his head against the wall. Salah and Sami ran and prevented him from hurting himself. "Not only you, Usman and Intisar," Sami said while crying. "We are all responsible for her suffering and torture. We are all cowards and selfish. We must go now and save her from dying in that hospital. What is left of her so we can save her now? She was kidnapped, raped, and massacred by your demonic father. Because of you and this selfish girl Intisar, my little sister Firdaus was brutally murdered by your evil father." When Ismail said this word, he ran towards his sister Intisar, grabbed her long hair, and started beating her. She did not resist and did not try to protect herself from her angry brother. She felt that she had to be killed because she had caused the heinous crime that was committed against her innocent sister. Walid and Badriya are the first to rush towards them and separated them. The lover of Badriya shouted, "Brother Osman, this will not solve the problem. Firdaus did not die and she will not die. She is still alive." Walid's girlfriend said, "Yes, my friend is right. My sister Firdaus will not die. For me, she is already dead. We, we all kill her. I'm a cowardly and selfish girl," Intisar cried. Salah replied, "You did not kill her, Intisar, and you are also not a cowardly and selfish girl. She is my beloved girlfriend and my fiancée. I will go to her and wipe her tears. With my great love, I will heal all her wounds. Nobody here is responsible for her suffering. Those who cause her suffering will be punished by the mighty hand of the law. They are already in prison. Let us not give up. Let us not divide. Our enemies have been defeated. We must not give them chance to turn our victory into defeat." Sami said, "Yes, Salah is right. We have already defeated them and publicly exposed their evil plots. It is only a matter of time before they are tried and convicted." go to Khartoum city, Salah said. We must prove to her that we all love her too. Sami said, yes, we are going immediately to the capital city. Salah said, yes, we must move quickly. When he said those words, he grabbed Osman and Intisar's hands and rushed them toward the outer door. All the other friends followed them silently. Salah, Sami, Intisar, Osman, Walid, Muna, and Badriya stopped two taxi drivers at the Taysir bus station. Everyone among the seven friends felt that the trip from Gadarif to Khartoum was long and difficult. Osman and Sar did not say a single word to anyone during the trip. Osman kept his face in his folded hands and remained silent the whole time. Intisar did the same thing except that she continued to cry throughout the long journey. The others rarely spoke to each other. 5 hours passed in silence. The sad words of the second innocent girl Firdaus in her first love letter to her lover Salah ring like the bells of hell announcing a dangerous future for all. For brother Osman, his sister's death would mean that he had failed in his duty as a brother to protect his youngest sister from such evil. So he said to himself, if Firdaus dies, he must either kill himself or kill those who destroyed her life. Sometimes, as his mind told him, even if he killed all his enemies, he would not return to his dead sister her precious life or restore her defiled purity and robbed virginity. Accordingly, Osman's mind and conscience continued to torment him during those 5 long hours. Meanwhile, Intisar's mind is torn between her family and her lover. She silently and repeatedly asked herself if she was correct as a selfish person, cowardly girl, and stupid girlfriend as Firdaus and Osman described her to be. If her younger sister dies, she will break off her relationship with her lover Samir, or will she continue it and become the enemy of her family? Samir's conscious conscience is also troubled and about his friendship with his beloved fiancée Intisar. Will he continue to fight his evil and dangerous father, or will he give in and let the selfish man Hassan win? In fact, of all the seven friends, none had his heart and conscience trouble him more than her boyfriend. The recognized Sudanese lawyer Salah told himself that everyone would hold him responsible for the kidnapping of his beloved girlfriend Firdaus by the police and the brutal rape and her brutal rape by her alleged husband. Because of his wrong advice, she was kidnapped, tortured, raped, and killed. He was the one who convinced her mother Sarah, her sisters Farida and Intisar, his friend Sami, and her brother Osman that the law and not violence will solve their problems. What will he do if his beloved fiancée Firdaus dies? He could not find an answer to his painful question. Her half-sister Badriya also blamed herself for justifying her marriage to the old Sheikh Osman al-Tayyib. She also went with her mother Sakina to the evil witch doctor Haj Muhammad and asked him to destroy Intisar's life. She, as an envious and selfish girl, along with her evil mother, proposed to pay the sorcerer big amount of money if he spoils the friendship of the poor girl Intisar and the rich boy Sami. The good citizen Walid Hamza agreed in his heart with Firdaus and Osman that only Intisar and Sami bear responsibility for what happened to the second innocent girl Firdaus. The other victim of cruel rapes at the hands of Al-Wahsh and his gang and the impostor, the witch doctor Haj Muhammad. The first innocent girl Muna alone has different thoughts running in her mind from the rest. She contemplated her dark future. She felt if the second innocent girl Firdaus died, she would be more fortunate than her. She believed that the days will relieve Firdaus from the suffering of her abduction and rape. As for her, God distant her to bear the shame of her gang rape all the days of her life. Accordingly, she wished in her heart to die soon and go forever at the fate of the innocent girl Firdaus might be. When the bus arrived in Khartoum city, none of them bothered to look at the time or thank God for the safe journey. The seven friends got off the bus one by one and headed straight to Khartoum General Hospital. While they were traveling in two cabs, they were feeling as if they were on funeral procession. When they reached the gate of the Khartoum General Hospital, their hearts started beating fast. The heart of each friend was filled with great fear and terror. Walid inquired about the general wing for women. Someone from the hospital staff showed him the way. The others followed silently. When they got to the ladies' ward, they found it was written that men are not allowed in the women's wing. So only Mona, Badriya, and Intisar Anchar and the four boys stayed outside. It is Intisar who started screaming first. Her screams were soon followed by the screams of Badriya and Muna. Upon hearing crying in the woman's ward, Salah and Usman fell to their knees and began crying bitterly. Sami and Walid also covered their faces and started weeping for the late second innocent girl Firdaus. Many people gathered around the seven friends and began to mourn them and console them. Some had Walid, Badriya and Muna overcame the shock of Firdaus' tragic days and began to help others get out of the hospital. When the friends reached the hospital gate, they discovered that Osman was missing. The three girls, Intisar, Badriya, and Muna, returned and started looking for him everywhere in the large hospital. The other three boys, Salah, Sami, and Walid, also joined them in their search for Osman. They asked hospital staff and some patients and others, but no one claimed to have seen him or knows his whereabouts or where he went. Such friends began to worry about Osman too. Some of them thought that he might have gone to the tomb of Firdaus to weep there. Wherefore, from the hospital staff they knew where she was buried. The kind nurse Amal introduced herself to the friends and agreed to accompany them to her grave. They learned from the loving nurse that the municipal workers have buried their dead under a jail. At the time of her death, none of her relatives could be found to arrange for her burial or to transport her dead body from the hospital to her home and then take her body to the cemetery. She also told them that she attended the funeral. When the friends reached the cemetery and saw Firdaus' grave, they wept bitterly over it. But her brother Osman was never found there. Some of them thought that he might have returned to the city of Gadarib with the intention of taking revenge on those evil men who caused her untimely death. After reaching this dead end, the six friends returned to their city with heavy hearts. The return journey is more sad and tearing than the previous one. Their hearts are filled with deep sadness and great despair. None of them spoke to anyone, ate food, or drank water. Intisar did not stop crying for her late sister Firdaus. Her face swelled with grief, and her eyes turned red. Salah also wept constantly over his late girlfriend, Firdaus. When they reached their city and informed the mother, Sarah, about the death of her beloved daughter, Firdaus, she cried continually until she lost her voice. That night, none of them slept. They spent the whole night next to the grieving, grieving woman. When the mother inquired about her only son Usman, she was told that he had delayed his arrival for one day because he wanted to visit the grave of his late sister, Firdos. The next day, Salah and Sami started looking for Usman all over the city. They knew that he probably wouldn't think of attacking his evil brother Omar or the damn all devil Mr. Osman al-Taib or the notorious womanizer Haj Muhammad because they are all behind being held inside Gadar prison. The remaining conspirator may be his target as he wants to exact revenge on them for the gruesome murder of his innocent sister, Firdos. Accordingly, the two friends, Salah and Sami, first went to Maulana's house to search for their missing friend Osman. When they reached his home, the evil religious leader did not allow them to enter his alleged holy abode and threatened to call the police if they refused to go. So did the evil politician Mr. Osman Taib with them. Mr. Mahjoub al-Hilali with them. His cowardly and selfish son Hassan was afraid to come out and confront them. That is why the two friends returned at home disappointed. That night, the two friends decided to return to Khartoum city. The next day, Sami spent the night at Salah's house, and early the next morning, they traveled back to the capital city. When they arrived in Khartoum, they reported to the police about their missing friend Osman Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir. They also advertised his name and picture in local newspaper, TV channels, and radio station. Meanwhile, they searched for him everywhere, but all their efforts were in vain. When they returned to the police headquarters 2 days later, they were told to go to Khartoum General Hospital and look at the body of a young man who had been found floating on the Nile River. Unfortunately, in the autopsy room in the hospital, the two friends, Sami and Salah, discovered that the anonymous dead body was that of Usman Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir. The hospital had already reported the cause of his death to the police authority in Khartoum. According to the medical report, the unknown young man committed suicide as a result of their heartbreaking discovery. The two friends mourned him and wept bitterly, with hearts heavy with great pain and saddened by the tragedy of the deceased Firdos and Usman. The two friends, Salah and Sami, returned to their Gadarif city, bringing with them the dead body of the brother of Farida Intisar, Omar Badriya, and the late second innocent girl Firdos Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir. Chapter 33. The son of Satan punishes two evil criminals. The number of dangerous bodyguards inside Al-Gadarif Central Prison increased by two after the arrest of the fugitive gang leader Al-Wihsh, Al-Lajabu, and the gorilla man, the Hamar Shakush Wad al-Haram. Before that, there were 17 bodyguards led by a notorious criminal named Kuku Wad al-Shaitan. When the apprehended ringleader, the beastman Al-Wihsh, entered the prison, he bowed to his old gang leader Kuku, the son of Satan. In reality, the two were ringleader and his assistant before Kuku was arrested 7 years ago and sentenced to life in prison. After his arrest, the beast Al-Wihsh became the leader of the gang and Hamad Shakush his assistant. Together, the trio worked outside of prison for robbery, murder, kidnapping, rape, and armed robbery. From inside, their activities continued in the form of extortion, harassment, and smuggling of cigarettes, snuff tobacco, drugs, bango, and alcohol beverages inside the prison. One day, these 19 bodyguards came together to lay out their evil plots, and Kuku, the son of Satan, was sitting in the middle, surrounded by his gangsters. From Shakush the Hammer, the gang learned that the magician Omar has switched sides and sold him and his monstrous leader Al-Wihsh to the sniffer dogs. By the way, the gang calls every police officer the community dog. According to the report of the gorilla man, as soon as he left his house, the traitor magician Omar called the police and reported his whereabouts. So police inspector Hussein arrested Shakush and falsely accused him of the crime of the hiding magician. All members of the gang agreed to execute the traitor, the sorcerer known as Omar Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir. Before carrying out the death penalty, the gang decided to use him to blackmail his rich son-in-law. Therefore, the main topic of the meeting is to devise a plan to blackmail the wealthy business tycoon Mr. Osman Al-Tayyib. Why don't we kidnap Badriya, the magician's sister, and force him to pay a ransom? Otherwise, we will rape and kill her, had the gorilla man. Al-Wish said that this may not work because the man who sold his leader would not hesitate to betray his sister as well. A man like him could sell his sister as a wife or a slave to another man if he paid him the appropriate price for her slavery and rape. Hammer said, let us kidnap the wizard Omar himself and threaten his rich son-in-law that we will kill him if he does not pay a huge ransom for his release. Always said that such an idea is also not good, and he added, I believe that the rich man bribed the police inspector and released the magician not because he loved him, for there is no person who loves a criminal except a fellow criminal like him. I think the rich man did it because of his reputation in community. For him, the death of his brother-in-law, the sorcerer Omar, would be a great relief. Then the rich man's wife or a daughter would be the right choice, said the hammer Shakush. It is a very good idea, said the devil's friend Kuku. But unfortunately, all our best men are here. Our men outside the prison may not be able to handle the kidnapping and extortion plan. Al-Wish said, I have a good idea. Let us send one of our men to the magician Omar to force him to write a confession of his involvement in the crime of kidnapping, rape, and bribery, which acquitted him. Then we will use the confession paper to blackmail the rich man. Brilliant idea, said Kukuwa the Shaitan. When the bodyguards plotted their plan to blackmail the magician and Mr. Osman al-Tayyib, the door of the barracks suddenly opened, and the prison guards brought two human corpses and quickly threw them away and disappeared. Shut the door hurriedly because the jail guards all risked their necks trespassing on the bodyguards' territory. The gangster looked at the two bodies for some time and concluded that the dead bodies were brought in by the community dogs in order to accuse them later in court of murdering them. So they are about to engage in Aurora and protest, but Kuku ordered Shakush the hammer to check the two bodies first. The gorilla man approached the bodies and used his legs to examine them. He kicked the fairest body until it turned over. It is found to be the body of an old man, but his face does not show whether he is alive or dead. Then he turned the second corpse over with his leg, and when he saw its face, he jumped back and shouted loudly that the jail scaby, the traitor Omar, the magician, had been caught by the dogs. All the bodyguards ran toward the body and surrounded it. For some time, they looked at him with contradictory feelings mixed with bitterness and pity. Their leader, Kukuwa the Shaitan, opened his mouth and said sarcastically, this will be the end of all of you cooperating with the police dogs. Al-Wish said sarcastically, it is true to say that if your finger becomes a policeman, cut it off from your hand and then throw it into the fire and burn it to ashes. Or Master Kuku, the son of the devil, do you want me to wipe this traitor out of existence? Shakush shouted angrily. The son of Satan said, do not kill him. We want him to extort his son-in-law, the rich man. But he could die at any moment. The master shouted, we must save his life. Who is the old man that brought with him? Asked the gorilla man. The beast said that his face had been disfigured by the beating of the dogs. Perhaps the two were arrested on the same charge. Shaku said, whatever the charges against them, Kuku the Shaitan said, we must save their lives and discover later their relationship and crimes. Accordingly, the bodyguards benefited from every available medicine that they smuggled into the prison. On top of that, there is a doctor who was recently arrested for a secret operation he performed on a teenage girl who had conceived an illegitimate child before marriage. The girl claimed that she was raped by her uncle, but she could not prove the crime of rape, and therefore the crime of rape and incest, and therefore the Sharia court ruled that she be stoned to death. This doctor admitted in court that he had performed hundreds of abortions on an unmarried girl who bore illegitimate children. Based on his confession of his crime, he was sentenced to life imprisonment with hard labor. The gang forced him to treat the old man and the magician Omar. The next day, the doctor declared the two men fit to speak to. When the gangster tried to interrogate the old man, they discovered that he had become temporarily deaf and mute. But they come to know from the magician Omar that the old man is his rich son-in-law who paid a huge bribe to the corrupt police inspector Hussein and cleared him of the crime of kidnapping and rape of the fairest innocent girl Muna. The old man's enemies had learned of the bribery and reported it to the police authority. As for the ambush set by the police, which caused the arrest of Shakush and Al-Wahsh, the magician Umar somehow convinced the bodyguards that he had no hand in that trap. Moreover, he assured them that he is still loyal to the gang. Accordingly, the number of Kuku's gang increased that day by one member. Meanwhile, the evil conspirator, kidnapper, rapist, aggressor, and murderer of the late second innocent girl Firdos, the evil old geezer, as said Osman Attab, remained in his physical incapacity for 3 days. The harsh beating he was subjected to in the interrogation room almost turned him into a lifeless corpse. He became like a statue. He has a mouth but cannot speak. He has eyes but he cannot see. He has ears but he cannot hear. He has teeth but he cannot eat. And he has legs but he cannot walk. Every prisoner saw him concluded that the old jackal, would die any moment. However, on the fourth day, the devil's fairest born began to regain his senses one by one. On the fourth day, he began to see the prison and the prisoners, and what he saw was his abhorrence. On the fifth day, he began to hear, and what he heard he did not like. On the sixth day, he walked around with great difficulty. On the seventh day, the evil old man miraculously began to speak. The bodyguards watched his recovery with pleasure and waited impatiently until the imprisoned doctor declared him fit to speak with him. During those 7 days, the chief of the bodyguards, Kukuwat the Shaitan, ordered his gang not to touch or speak to the rich old man. So the old wolf was treated as kindly as the place where he landed could allow. On the seventh day, Kuku, the son of Satan, gathered his men in a corner of the barracks and then ordered two of them to bring the rich old man in for a confidential and private conversation. The two criminals brought the old hyena and presented him to their chief. He was then made to sit in a semicircle created by the gangster. Listen, Kuku said in a rough, ogre voice to the old man. We are glad you are in prison. When the dogs brought you here, you were half dead. You were deaf, dumb, blind, and lame. When your badly beaten body was dumped into this dungeon by the dogs of society. You were a body without senses. You were like an expired corpse or a half-dead stray dog or a homeless beggar. We saved your life. We did for you what we weren't meant to do. We made you see, hear, talk, and walk again. Without our loving care, treatment, and kindness, you might be dead and buried in a grave by now. So we want to make a fair deal with you. We will not charge you much, but just according to the market price. This prison is for me and my men. We are known as bodyguards and bouncers. Those police dogs have no power or control inside these barracks. We are the only force and authority here. If you accept our financial bargain and pay us regularly and justly, you will live in peace between us. We will take care of you and will not let anyone harm you. But if you refuse to obey and not obey us, we will beat you mercilessly daily as long as you are here. So first you have to pay for our treatment, and then we will determine how much you have to pay every month to protect for us to protect you in this prison as your bodyguards. The old man heard these words without believing his ears. Being a miser businessman, he was not used to giving his money without expecting a profit in return. Moreover, he is not convinced of the absolute power that the leader of the gang claimed to have in prison. That is why he said to him, above all, I did not ask you and your men to spare my life. You did it out of your own free will. However, I'm very grateful to you for what you have done for me. Maybe when I get out of this shitty place, I will give each one of you a little gift as a token of appreciation. In terms of protection inside the prison, I don't need your protection. I'm a man of great wealth and influence in society and can take care of myself. I can buy all the police authorities with my money. Kukuwa the Shaitan did not expect the old man to refuse his request. So, being left-handed man, he raised his hand, which was the size of a cricket pad, and then hit the old man's face with full force. The old geezer felt as if he had been slapped by a lion. As a result, he was turned upside down and his body was thrown away 2 meters. Kuku got to his feet immediately and all the bodyguards stood with him. He cried like an angry beast and said, lift up this old crook to teach him a hard lesson. His order was immediately carried out by 4 gangsters, and they happened to be Al-Wahsh, Shakush, Abu Shakhura, and the magician. The traitor Umar abandoned his elite son-in-law and took the side of his gang. Therefore, he does not care if Kukuwa the Shaitan will beat Mr. Osman Taib to death or flay his body while he is alive. Then they brought the old man before their angry ringleader. This is how the evil old man is raised. Al-Wahsh and Shakush hold his hands, and Abu Shakhura and the magician Omar hold his legs. Then they stretched him like a piece of wet cloth attached to its four corners to dry. By that time, the son of the devil, Cuckoo, with the shaitan, brought his long stick and started caning the old man on his back, buttocks, legs, and hands. The beating was so painful that the old geezer started screaming loudly. To prevent the loud screaming, Cuckoo asked one of his men to insert a dirty cloth into the stubborn old man's house. The order was executed and the screaming stopped immediately, but the beating continued. When Cuckoo's strength was exhausted, he asked his men to abandon the old man's body. The four bodyguards released the body, and the evil old geezer fell heavily on his face. He noticed the first organ to hit the hard ground, followed by the teeth and forehead. So his nose, mouth, and forehead started to bleed copiously. It is a very painful experience for the despicable old man. From shoulder to feet, his body is burning with fire. He could neither cry nor scream, but start rolling on the ground like a snake. The bodyguards surrounded him, and whenever he reached one of them, he kicked him like a soccer ball. Then Cuckoo ordered his beastly assistant to knock the old man with his stick. The dangerous beast Al-Wahsh preferred to strike him on the soles of his feet. Wherefore, he orders five gangsters to lift up the old man up. This is how they carried him. Two of them pressed his shoulders and hands to the ground. Two raised his 2 feet. The fifth one sat on his back and braced his stomach to the ground. Then the horseman's shoes were taken off his feet. The angry beast took the same stick from Cuckoo, the son of Satan, and began to beat the old wolf on his bare feet. The old man started screaming like a man who had fallen into the hands of Boko Haram terrorists. So the dirty cloth was again inserted into his mouth. He began to fight for his release, but his efforts were in vain. At that time of torture and unbearable pain, the old man once again remembered the late second innocent girl Firdaus, how she begged for mercy, and he did not have mercy on her. He understood the evil he had done to her and which the just God now demanded of him. For all this, the wicked old man did not repent of his many sins. The beastman Al-Wahsh kept hitting him until he ran out of energy. Therefore, he stopped and told his men to release him. When they released him this time, his body remained motionless. Finally, Cuckoo, a son of the devil, asked his men to carry the half-dead body of the stubborn old geezer and throw it into one of the dirty toilets. When the bodyguards came to fetch the wicked old man's body a few hours later, they found him crawling like an old snake or alligator out of the smelly toilet. They, they seized the badly hammered body and presented it before their angry ringleader. The bodyguards surrounded the body again and waited for further orders from their commander. Do you think you can protect yourself from us? Kuku Dal Shaitan shouted angrily. The old man said in a low voice, Please don't kill me, sir. We don't kill people here. We torture them, and this is worse than killing. Please don't torture me again. Are you ready for the deal, or do we continue to torture you? I'm ready. One Kuku, as Ibn Iblis heard those promising words, he orders his men to sit down and relax. Then he brought a paper and a pen and told the wealthy old man to write down what he was going to tell him. Two gangsters helped the old servant sit up. supporting his back against the wall. I, Mr. Osman Al Taib, authorized Mr. Harun Abubakar Jibrin to withdraw the amount written in a separate sheet, a separate check attached to this letter of authorization. The same gentleman would come every month to withdraw a fixed sum of money by a check which I would issue regularly. Please do not hinder or delay him. After the old man had set the date and signed the authorization letter, Kuku forced him to write a similar letter to his female secretary to get his checkbook. Dear Miss Shahinas Jamil, greetings with dreaming of honey of love. I lost my checkbook. Would you please send me another checkbook with the bearer of this letter, the Honorable man, Mr. Harun Abubakar Jibril. Then the above note was dated and signed by the rich old man, and the two authorization letters were smuggled out of the prison by a janitor. A day later, the same messenger brought the checkbook. Then the son of Satan and his gang made a deal with Al-Sheikh Al-Qani. According to the deal, the suspect, Mr. Osman Al-Taib, has to pay a large sum of money for the medical treatment given to him by the ruthless gang of Koko, the son of Satan, and the devil inside the prison. Moreover, he agreed to pay a large sum of money every month for his safety and protection inside the barracks by the bodyguards. After this deal, the gangsters treated the old man well. It so happened that a few days after the day, a secret extortion deal was made between Kuku's gang and the evil old man. Another suspect came from another barracks during his free time to inquire about his suspected close friend, Mr. Osman Tayyip. Unfortunately, the inquiry fell into the hands of the ruthless bodyguards. Kuku, the son of the elf, shouted at him with coarse voice like an angry ogre. What is your crime? The inquirer said, I am not a criminal. I have been falsely accused. Some wicked people sent a prostitute to my secret abode and then charged me with false charges of rape and public deceit. But I am innocent like wool, innocent of the blood of our prophet Yusuf ibn Yaqub. Do not care about that, Kuku said, again in a harsh voice. Every suspect here is innocent in his own opinion. But why did the police dogs throw you into the dungeon? I do not know the reason. I am an innocent man. The firstborn son of Satan said angrily. Listen, I ask you the last time. I don't want to hear your funny answer. Why were you arrested by the police? I'm a social counselor. Some people out of jealousy reported me to the police and I was arrested for rape and social fraud. What kind of social deception do you practice? Is it a religious, political, or are you a lawyer? I'm the greatest of all these great men of our community. What kind of brankister are you? I told you I'm not a scammer. I'm a good citizen who has dedicated most of his time to doing good for the community. You crook, Kuku shouted angrily. If you want me to pluck out your nails and rip off your ears, repeat those lies again. You can fool people out there, but not me. I'm a dangerous criminal and the son of a notorious criminal. I spent 40 years of my life cheating, deceiving, stealing, extorting, kidnapping, raping, and killing. So I can smell a criminal many miles away. Ever since I saw you, I knew you were a big prankster. I warned you last time not to play games with the most ruthless and dangerous gang leader in this city. I'm the god of this country. Even Satan trembles when he sees me. Every cup piece in his khaki uniform when he hears my name. I was arrested for public deception and rape of a prostitute. What is your profession? I'm a witch doctor, an African Jewess, and a great sorcerer. So you are some kind of a magician, charlatan, who practice black magic. You must have collected half of the city's money through public deceit and sorcery. Now we want to make a deal with you. We are the power and authority inside the prison. If you refuse the financial deal, we will torture you mercilessly day and night. If you don't believe me, ask your old criminal friend Osman Al Tayyib. At first, he tried to impugn my authority, but when we beat him hard, he obeyed and agreed to pay us monthly for his protection here. What kind of a deal are you talking about? I don't like to be involved in any crime. We didn't ask you to commit a crime for us. For this kind of crime, we are better than you. Our deal is that you pay us money for your safety and protection in this prison as your bodyguards. I don't want you to protect me. I will take care of myself. It means that you are as stubborn as your buddy, the old fox Osman Tayyib. But we have good treatment for this kind of disease. My brave fellows, please raise this impostor so I can teach him a hard lesson, as I taught the old geezer. In the same way, the same four criminals stretched out the fraudster and the usurper before their angry leader. Then Kukuwa the Shaitan started hitting Haj Muhammad with the same stick and with the same force. The witch doctor's big mouth started to shout loudly. His scream caused 240 convicted prisoners and suspects to crowd around the ruthless bodyguards and their two helpless victims, the notorious womanizer, the witch doctor, the devil Muhammad, and the vile old man, the dirty rapist Osman Shaitan al-Tayyib. The gang leader felt proud when he saw the large crowd and thus showed a lot of strength and ruthlessness. The magician loudly began to shout for help. Then Kuku ibn Iblis, the accursed devil, ordered his men to insert a piece of dirty cloth into the mouth of the great Antichrist. A large contaminated piece of filthy rag was fetched and then forcibly inserted into the big mouth of Haj Muhammad until he was suffocated. 10 minutes after the beating, the child of Satan, Kuku, ordered his men to leave the prankster's body. The four bodyguards quickly left the huge body. The witch doctor's body fell to the solid ground. Haj Muhammad suffered more injuries and pain than the old man Satan al-Tayyib. The famous sorcerer started mourning like a wounded beast. Now he can neither move nor cry. Kuku approached him and spat in his face and said harshly, "Can we make the deal now, or do you still think you can protect yourself against us? We have many ways to torture you. This is only the beginning." Haj Muhammad used his head to respond negatively to the gang leader's request. Kuku felt challenged and humiliated in front of his men and the onlookers. Then the outrageous son of Satan grabbed Haj Muhammad's ears and began to rip them off and take them out of his watermelon-like big head. Some of the prisoners closed their eyes. Others turned their faces away. The evil old man started crying for his vile friend and then closed his eyes as well. Nevertheless, the bodyguards and some ruthless criminals continued to look on in complete amazement until Haj Muhammad's ears were ripped off by Kuku. Blood gushed out from his deformed head like a red liquid. Then the son of Satan raised the witch doctor's ears, which were completely covered in blood, and started to roar like an angry beast. Some of the prisoners are terrified by the horrific scene, and so they started screaming for help. Their screams made Kuku more angry. He started kicking, slapping, and beating everyone. The Rangers joined their ringleader in his brutal attack. The terrified prisoners kept running and screaming inside the barracks. Meanwhile, Haj Muhammad and the old man are trodden under the feet of the crowd and are almost killed in a stampede. When the commotion rose inside barrack number 13, some of the jailers ventured to see what was going on inside that bottomless pit. None of them wanted to enter or go near Kuku's dungeon. They were used to hearing some screams every now and then of a prisoner inside that place. But today they sensed that something extraordinary had happened. When they looked through the bars, they saw each prisoner chasing another inmate. However, the prison guards could not figure out the cause of the deadly fight. They are afraid to go in and stop the disturbance. Sirens are blaring throughout the prison building. 3 false codes are declared before the correct one is declared. The red code for a fire, the black for a possible bomb, and the purple for hostage taking. The prison guards The prison guards of the other barracks were also confused and then started running aimlessly, helter-skelter. Finally, they hear the orange code indicating the heavy human casualties. Another announcement followed, directing them to the correct place where violent prisoners were. Every prison guard, every police officer, every medical staff must proceed immediately to barrack number 13. Please be fully armed and ready for a possible violent confrontation with these dangerous criminals. The siren went on for 20 minutes while this announcement was repeated over and over. It was considered an urgent emergency. In a short time, hundreds of prison guards, police officers, armed to the teeth, and medical personnel gathered around barrack number 13. Even the cooking staff, sweepers, carpenters, and other maintenance staff who were not ordered to attend, they presented themselves. The announcer finally came in holding a microphone to the loudspeaker in his hand. So he began loudly announcing to the violent prisoners in barrack number 13 that they should surrender. Although he repeated his declaration with several threats, the quarrel did not stop. By this time, the quarrel had evolved from quarrel into a fight, and from a fight into a deadly battle. Many of the prisoners were killed or seriously injured and fell to the ground. Finally, they heard the loudspeaker announcing the start of the attack. Every prison guard and policeman must be ready to attack. First, we will shoot tear gas and then attack. Please be brave and fight against these violent detainees. Fight the good fight as you are brave, vigilant, and guards protecting the community. After that, tear gas was thrown through every window and door inside barrack number 13. When the smoke spread everywhere, the attack began. The prisoners in the other barracks started screaming loudly, thinking that the prison guard had set fed to barracks number 13 because they wanted to burn the inmates alive. The chief of the jailers ordered his men to throw tear gas in all the barracks. The orders were obeyed, and thus tear gas was spread throughout the prison. Al Gaddarif Central Prison has become like a huge building that was attacked by some of Al Qaeda, Hezbollah, Hamas, or ISIS suicide bombers. When the police force entered barracks number 13, they found that the battle had stopped. Tear gas has blinded every inmate. They handcuffed them all and took them all outside their barracks. Then they made them kneel in rows. The seriously injured prisoners were taken out on stretchers to the hospital. Among the seriously injured were the evil sheikh, the old man Osman al-Tayyib, and the vile sorcerer Haj Muhammad. The old dragon is crushed and his nose breathing out fire with venom, while the great Magi had been seriously trampled underfoot and had completely lost his ears. When the head of the prison guards questioned the surrendered prisoners about the cause of the deadly fight, he is told that a new suspect from another barracks has challenged the authority of the ruthless ringleader Kukur the Shaitan and his evil gang. Such a challenge had never happened before. So Kuku got angry and cut off the opponent's ears. The head of the jailers inquired about the white weapon that the dangerous gang leader used to cut off the suspect's ears. All eyewitnesses swear to God that Kuku did not use a knife, dagger, or a sword to tear off his ears except for his bare hands. However, this report was not accepted by the head of the prison guards. He could not believe that someone could rip off the inmate's ears with his bare hands. All the prisoners of barrack number 13 were forced to remain on their knees while handcuffed throughout that night. The next day, the gang leader Kukur the Shaitan and his gangsters were severely beaten by the prison guards and then locked up in isolated cells. The prison guards used long clubs and whips to punish the violent gangster. Meanwhile, Haj Muhammad and Mr. Osman Taib remained in the intensive care unit of the prison hospital. Yet the old man became permanently lame and the witch doctor forever deaf and earless. Those who knew the mighty witch doctor Haj Muhammad and his clean business of black magic before interpreted the deadly fight inside the prison in a spiritual way. They believed that the great witch doctor unleashed billions of his invisible, evil, impure spiritual servants and their demonic leader, the fearsome Diracola del Doom, and that those demons had possessed Kuku's gang members and other prison inmates and staff. So those billions of devils rebelled and caused a deadly battle between their leader, Lucifer, Kuku, the son of Satan himself, and his demonic host. Among the defeated enemies were the famous wealthy business tycoon, the old man Mr. Osman al-Tayyib, his friend, the mighty witch doctor, Haj Muhammad, hundreds of jailers and police officers, and all the rest of prisoners. Some eyewitness inside the prison claimed to have seen the thug of darkness, Mr. Daldum, when he manifested himself inside the haunted barracks number 13 and unleashed billions of demons that possess the body of everyone in the prison. Chapter 34, Platonic Asexual Love versus Erotic Love. The brutal rape and heinous murder of Firdaus and the suicide of her brother Osman became a heavy blow to the love affair between Intisar and Sami. It almost meant the end of their friendship. After those tragic events in her family, Sarah, Intisar's mother, threatened to disown her daughter if she continued her love affair with the son of that human beast Osman al-Tayyib, who raped to death her innocent daughter Firdos. She also swore by God and her prophet Muhammad that she would cut off one of her breasts if she saw her daughter again with the son of that evil old man. Therefore, Intisar has been in a serious dilemma for a long time. Her lover Sami tried by all means to win her heart again, but he could not do it. Even his friend Salah tried to explain to her that her lover might end his life if she left him at this critical stage in his life. Nevertheless, the beloved girlfriend remained steadfast in her decision to end her love affair with her lover Sami. Meanwhile, Intisar and Muna became very close friends. Howbeit, through Salah and Muna's continuous sincere efforts, Intisar agreed to meet Sami secretly at the desolated house of Badriya's blind grandmother. Their meeting at fairs is not very successful, but they meet as they meet again and again, their love is gradually rekindled. However, they knew and understood that they had a huge huge mountain they had a huge mountain of glaciers and dangerous valley full of human beasts and countless other obstacles that they had to overcome before they could achieve victory. Meanwhile, during those secret passionate meetings, Salah and Muna also became friends. Despite their friendship, whenever Sami and Intisar asked Salah and Muna about their feelings for each other, they replied that they're just good friends, but not lovers. They claim that their relationship is like that of a brother and a sister. This brother sister friendship between Salah and Muna continued for some time until they found themselves asking each other some searching questions. This is how they seemed to look for love in each other's hearts. On a particular evening, when they were alone in the house of Badriya's blind grandmother, Salah asked Muna, "Do you believe in platonic love? I hear about it, but to be honest with you, I don't know what exactly is." Muna answered frankly, "It is a love affair between a girl and a boy without any physical or sexual attraction, so it does not lead to marriage. Do you think this kind of love is possible? By definition, possible. No, what I mean is it practical?" Before I answer your question, I want to ask you a very important question. Have you ever fallen in love with a boy? Not at all. What do you understand by love, Muna? Love means that boy and girl love each other very much. For example, Sami and Intisar are in love affair. Do you love Sami and Intisar? Yes, I love them. Do you love me? Yes, I think I love you too. This means that you love many people. I don't think I could fall in love with many people. I can love them as good friends, but if I am in love, it has to be with one person. You are now not too far from defining love. Like I said, love should only go to one person. Now try again, Muna, and tell me what is love. How can I tell you about something I have never experienced in my life? Well, Muna, let me tell you first what love is. When I was a student at the School of Law at the University of Khartoum, I took some lessons in Western philosophy and Greek ethics. Through that study, I learned that there are four types of love. The first is called Eros love, which is known as physical love or sexual love. It is based on a strong feeling for another person. The second is Philos love. It is love based on friendship between two people. It is true that two lovers start their friendship first before they become partners for life. Usually, the relationship lasts more in, in the long run. This type of love can be between a man and a woman, a man and a man, or between a woman and a woman. The third type of love is called agape love. It is an unconditional love. It is the third and highest kind of love. Agape love above philos love and eros love. It is a completely selfless love, where a person gives love to another person, even if this act does not benefit him or her in any way. Whether or not the love given returns benefit, the person continues to love, even without any self-interest. This is why it is also known as divine love. God loves humans unconditionally. The fourth love is platonic love. It is a kind of non-sexual love. It is also called the love of the idea of beauty, as it is seen as the termination of the evolution of from one's sexual desire and love of physical beauty to love and contemplation of spiritual or ideal beauty. Therefore, platonic lovers do not have sex with each other and do not marry. So, Muna, of these four types of love, tell me now whether you think platonic love is practical or not. And also tell me, have you ever experienced platonic love or any of the other three types of love? I think platonic love is brotherly love. And in this case, I think I love you as my brother. Since I first saw you in my house with the famous journalist Shamsuddin, who interviewed me quite often, and the good citizen Walid Hamda, who saved my life from the gang of Al Wish, I have started to love you in this kind of brotherly love. Let me add some new information to you, Muna. Brotherly love originated in a city in Greece called Philadelphia. The name Philadelphia comes from Greek meaning city of brotherly love. This is new information to me, so I admit that I love you so much, Salah, just as my own soulmate or a twin brother to me. Have you ever had those kind of feelings for another guy? Absolutely not. Suppose you fall in love with a man, how will you know whether you love him in platonic love or erotic love or Philadelphia? I don't know how to tell the difference between the three, but I think at least the boy would know the difference. And what if the boy is genuinely in love with you, but is too simple to understand his feelings? In this case, we will love each other without even knowing it, but this will create a problem for both of you because love is a commitment. When you love someone, you should tell him how you feel about him. I'm too shy to tell the boy that I love him. It is good when the boy reveals his love to me first. You know, Salah, in our Islamic culture, it is the boy who is supposed to tell the girl that he loves her first. Muna, what do you expect the boy you might fall in love with to be? He must be unique from other boys. They may speak and act perfectly, wear nice clothes, have good jobs, or a higher education. But my boyfriend will still be how somewhat unique. When I see him, my heart will go before me to meet him. I'll feel like running to hug him. Everything he says or does will tape me on. When he is not with me, I will miss him so much. If he smiles, my heart will be filled with indescribable joy. And when he cries, I will cry with him. Oh my goodness, Muna, you seem to be deeply in love with someone. This wonderful description of love can only be said by a girl in love with a guy. So, can I know whom you love, Muna? The fairest innocent girl, Muna, could not answer the daring question of the lawyer Salah. Instead, she looked at him and her rosy cheeks flushed. Then she becomes very shy, which reveals the deep love she has in her heart for him. Do you love me, Muna? The beloved girlfriend Muna could not respond, but her lover Salah understood her silence as a positive response. How can you fall in love with someone who failed to protect his ex-girlfriend? Yes, I could not protect my ex-girlfriend Firdos because I am a coward. She was taken from me by force, and I did nothing to protect her. I was counting on my law education, and it failed me. As a legally recognized Sudanese lawyer, I was supposed to protect and defend people from the evil and injustice of others, and yet I have failed miserably. What do you expect from a coward and a loser like me? Salah's words felt like a heavy weight on Muna's already broken heart. They hit her own wounds like heavy stones and caused her wounded heart to bleed again. She started weeping. Her weeping turned into a loud cry. Salah immediately realized that he had made more than one grave mistake by sharing the burden with a girl whose suffering was similar to that of his late girlfriend Firdos. He is already aware that Mona once lost hope in life, but he came into her life and restored that hope. And so he tried to correct his mistake. He put his hand on her shoulder and patted her gently, and soon she withdrew her body and said, I know that I am not fit for your love, for I am filled with shame from head to feet, and my name is bound with infamy forever. I'm a victim of kidnapping and rape. I know that no boy in our Islamic society loves a raped girl. Every boy wants to marry a virgin girl. They look at me as a virgin who has lost her virginity and has become an open pussy. All men want to use me for their sexual gratification and pleasure, but none of them is ready to love and marry me. You are wrong, dear Mona. You are cleaner and purer than me. You have you haven't made any mistakes. I'm the one who is covered in shame and disgrace. I'm a coward. I'm a coward. Do you love do you like loving a coward? You must love a brave man who will protect you. It's true that I love you, my sweetie Muna, and I want your love to protect me from my shame. But this shows how cowardly and selfish I am. Salah, I need your love too. I want you to love me, and through your love, remove the pain from my heart. I want you to fill my heart with love that cannot be uprooted. When she said those words, Muna felt Salah embracing her. She answered him with all her being. She responded with great passion and hugged him as well. The two new lovers began kissing and each other like lovers who met after a long separation. Their kisses are not like those of ordinary romantic lovers, but they are full of true passion. The miracle is that they actually heal each other from their wounds. At that wonderful moment, Salah's mind shifted to his late ex-girlfriend, and he began to compare the harm done to the two innocent girls, Firdos and Muna. He felt that he would always be haunted by the heinous crimes committed against the two dearest girls he had ever met. Firdaus is dead, but lamentation and revenge still float to the surface from her grave. Moon is alive, but she also needs revenge. Suddenly, Salah pulled himself out of that one a beautiful moment and said to his new girlfriend, Mona, you should know that I love another girl. Who is she? Before I tell you who she is, would you still love me if you found out I loved her more than you? Salah, I'm falling in love with you, getting deeper and deeper into it day after day, and I can't stop myself. So I agreed to split my heart with her. Let her marry you and take you away from me, and yet I will continue to love you with an undivided heart. She can't marry me or take me away because she died and went as a martyr of love to Jannat al Firdaus. But her love remains in my heart forever. I can I can go to her, but she cannot come back to me. She was more worthy of your love than me because she was a virgin before the cops kidnapped her and took her to that evil old man who raped her, and she died as a martyr of virginal love. Believe me, Muna, ever since I learned that my beloved girlfriend Firdaus was murdered, I have been suffering from strong suicidal thoughts. I wanted to kill myself as Romeo did when he found out that his beloved Juliet had killed herself because of his love. I also feel the same sense of guilt that her brother Osman felt, and that he committed suicide because he could not protect the honor and life of his younger sister Firdaus. Yet I control myself because I want to take revenge on the person who kidnapped her, imprisoned her, beat her, tortured her, raped her over and over again, and finally brutally killed her. Now you have come into my life and fill my heart with love again. Yet I still love Firdaus more than you. Indeed, no other girl in the whole world can replace my late girlfriend Firdaus. She will she will forever continue to be the queen in my heart. Now I love you more, Salah, because you were and still are sincere in your love for the second innocent girl Firdaus, who was kidnapped, raped, and killed by evil old man, as partially happened to me by Al-Wihsh and his gang. Mona says while crying. You also proved to me that you are sincere in your love for me, Mona. You have a pure heart of gold. Salah says, says the fairest innocent girl, don't let me die. I want to be with you always. I did not expect after kidnapping and rape scandal to find a handsome and educated young man like you who would love me and be ready to marry me. Mona, your love restored hope to my tragic life. After I lost my fairest girlfriend Firdaus, I lost all hope in life. But you came and showered my parched soul with new waves of love. You made my heart to beat with love again. Salah, I always want you to whisper those words of love into my dead soul that you miraculously revived again. Muna, I love you too, and I need your love. But I also want you to stand with me and fight our enemies. I'm ready to do anything for you, Salah. Muna, I know that you risked your life by going with Inspector Yassin to Haj Muhammad's house, where you were brutally raped again. However, it was through your courage and sacrifice that evil rapist was caught and thrown behind bars where his two other evil friends had already been thrown there. He is the mastermind of the evil plot that led to the brutal murder of Habibti Firdos and the suicidal death of her dear brother Osman. Now I want you to stand by me until I avenge the kidnapping, rape, and brutal murder of Firdos. Even the fairest two lovers, Intisar and Sami, need us to support them until they achieve victory through union in everlasting marriage. I know that their path is still long and arduous and full of hardship and obstacles. I'm ready, my dear Salah, to do everything I can for you, for Sami and for Intisar, even for your earthly paradise for those. Though I have not seen her, I can still see her in you. Revenge on those who killed my fairest girlfriend for those is very urgent. That is why Sami, Intisar, and I decided to go to Khartoum City to inquire about her murder. Her case will be my fairest case in court. As a recognized Sudanese lawyer, I must prove before the criminal court in the capital city of Sudan that she was a victim of kidnapping, rape, and murder, and not a disobedient Muslim wife. As the Sharia court in Gadaref city issued a verdict of obedience against her. Agree with you, my dear Salah. Will you come with us, my dear Muna? Yes, I am ready to come with you, my friends. I will not rest until that evil old man, Osman al-Taib, is convicted and then punished for his heinous crime. I want him to be found guilty as a rapist and murderer and hanged to death for his crime of kidnapping, rape, and brutal murder that he committed against my eternal girlfriend Firdos Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir. Me too, my beloved Salah, would like to finish the 12th grade and join the University of Khartoum and join the Faculty of Law and become a female advocate for Sudanese women and defend them in the court of law against misogyny, injustice, and violence that they suffer in their country. Those misogynistic teachings are supported by false religion and clothed with the attires of satanic divinity. Chapter 35: Human Injustice Against Innocent Animals. The four friends, Sami, Intisar, Salah, and the fairest innocent girl, Muna, traveled to Khartoum City 2 weeks after the day the newly united lovers revealed their deep love for each other. Their visit to the capital city did not begin with the investigation into the murder of the second innocent girl Firdos as previously planned. Instead, they decided to spend the first day sightseeing. From the bus station, they headed to the Stars Hotel near the international airport, where they booked Intisar and Muna together in one room and Sami and Salah in another room. It was the same hotel Farida, Sami, Intisar, and the late Firdos stayed in during their previous short visit to the capital city. The four lovers spent their first night resting. On the second day, the first place they visited is the zoo. Intisar is the first to enter her favorite place. She is excited to see her lovely monkeys after such a long absence. When she reached the single cage of the two monkeys, her anticipation began to fade. She was disappointed, so she drops the peanuts she brought for them and yells out loud at her boyfriend, Sami. Where is the other monkey? Why did they take him away? It is not fair to keep him away from his girlfriend. It's a great injustice to separate the happy monkeys. Yes, you are right, sweetie. They shouldn't have done such an injustice. The two monkeys were so happy when we last saw them. Sammy, we have to file a complaint. Complaint? Asked Sammy, amazed. Who do you want to complain to? To the management of the zoo. But my dear sweetheart, they may not accept such kind of complaint. We'll never be silent. We must meet the manager and tell him about this injustice that happened to two innocent animals. Sami tried his best to convince Intisar to give up the idea of filing a complaint with the park administration regarding the injustice the monkeys were subjected to, but she did not give in to his request. He reluctantly followed his stubborn girlfriend to the manager's office. There, the guard ordered them to submit their complaint in writing. The two lovers sat down in a corner of the office and wrote the following complaint. To the director of the zoo in the city of Sudan, in the capital city of Sudan. Greetings in the name of love and justice. Subject, an official complaint against the injustice that occur against two innocent animals. Dear Sir, we are regular visitors to the zoo. On our previous visit, we saw a couple of cute monkeys living together in one cage as good friends. They were full of love for each other. That night we met when we saw them playing together, jumping together, eating together, hugging and kissing each other. They were so happy that we became jealous of their wonderful friendship. Because we are also passionate lovers like them, we hope that our soon marriage would be filled with joy and happiness like theirs. We are also truly love and engaged to each other. We returned to our city in eastern Sudan, bearing in our hearts the love of two happy monkeys. Our friends, relatives, and neighbors were told by us about those happy animals. Many of them decided to visit the zoo and see the cute monkeys. So the happy life of the two monkeys has become an example to follow in our city, Gadarif. Unfortunately, our plan to marry was strongly opposed and hindered by human jealousy, hatred, envy, selfishness, and the difference in social status between the rich and the poor. However, we continue to encourage ourselves by remembering the happy life of a couple of monkeys in the zoo of Khartoum city. We made an eternal vow that nothing could separate us from each other. As the two monkeys clung to each other and became one body and one soul, we decided to cling to each other so that one day we'd become one body and one soul in a sacred, everlasting matrimonial union. In human society, the occurrence of this happy married life is very rare. This is because the human male claims to be superior to the female human in religion and intellect. Moreover, the man is authorized by divine verse from the Holy Quran to marry more than one woman, up to four wives at the time. This would never happen between monkeys. The monkeys seem to be have understood that a happy married life can only be achieved between one male and one female. If the male has a second, third, or a fourth wife, his first life partner will consider him selfish and treacherous. Therefore, polygamy is a disguised and justified form of adultery, hatred, oppression of an operation of woman. Another beautiful fact we learn from happy monkeys is that a male never divorces his female life partner. Unfortunately, Islamic religion allows the human husband to divorce his wife with or without reason. Another beautiful fact we learn from monkeys is that not all male is permitted by a sacred religious text to marry a young female monkey. An aging male monkey cannot match a young female monkey emotionally, socially, and sexually. First of all, it is practically impossible for a young female monkey to fall in love with an older male monkey. She will see him as all as her father, uncle, or grandfather. Socially, there will be a large age gap between the two. The young wife will find the elderly husband old-fashioned in his dress, conservative in his thoughts and views on life, and very serious in everything. There will be no fun in their married life. That is why she will be very bored living with him. Sexually, she cannot have any sexual attraction towards him. Therefore, their sex life will always be one sided. So she will be sexually assaulted, raped, and tortured by him day in and day out until she may commit suicide or eventually die of sorrow and torture. This may also lead her to seek sexual satisfaction elsewhere. Besides, she will have many competing rival wives whom her selfish and unfaithful husband gets through polygamy, which is considered permissible marriage in Islam. These rival wives are called the rat or a harmful woman by society because they cause harm to the fairest wife of the polygamous husband. With them, she will fight a bloody war of jealousy every day because she will consider them intruders who stole her husband's heart. Even her children would be disliked and hated by the rival wives and their children. These are just a few observations in our lives that we discover when we compare our miserable human life to that of the happy animals. Unfortunately, when we got back to the zoo today, we found that one of the happy monkeys was missing. At once, we decided to bring it up to you. The lonely monkey looked very sad and almost died of grief for his lost partner from the cage. All the joy, love, and happiness we saw on his face last time is gone. In their place, we now see anger, bitterness, frustration, and deep sadness. From his sad and gloomy face, we deduce that he was depressed, desperate, and suicidal. Most likely he is on hunger strike because he refused to eat the delicious food we gave him. He abstained from eating the Sudanese peanuts, which is his favorite dish. Therefore, it is the cruelest form of injustice in life that an innocent animal should ever be exposed to, because the separation of lovers is worse than death. Accordingly, we beg you, in the name of heavenly divine justice and earthly erotic love, to spend most of your time and effort in searching for and finding the stolen male monkey as soon as possible, and then returning him to his female partner in the cage. Also, the culprit who caused such a painful separation of the two happy monkeys, because they are the happiest lovers in the world, must be punished. At least he should be fired immediately and also expelled from this cute zoo. He should also be prevented from going to any public place where there are innocent children and women. He should even be forbidden to visit the place where lovers and married couple come to have fun together. This urgent complaint was written and signed by two eternal lovers, Sami and Tisar. When they had finished writing their complaint, they blessed it with their warm kisses. then handed over to the doorkeeper and waited with great expectations for justice to be served by the zoo's management. The security guard entered and came out with the same message. Intisar and Sami are surprised that their letter was rejected by the general manager of the zoo. When the keeper gave it back to them, they saw it was written on the bottom of it in big red letters. I had no time to spend looking for a missing dumb animal, and no time to waste considering such a petty complaint. The manager's harsh response made Intisar cry and shed hot tears. Then the lover held his sad girlfriend's hand and led her out of the management office. When they reached a far corner, Sami allowed Intisar to bury her face in his lap and cry over the sad of the two happy monkeys under the shade of a tree. While she was weeping bitterly over the unjust separation of the beautiful monkeys, many visitors of the zoo came and inquired about the reason for her great sadness. When Sami told them the reason, a few of them responded in the positive, but the majority of them were disturbed and considered her mourning and crying ridiculous, and that she was stupid like a child. But among the inquirers, there is an old man who has a different reaction than the others. I see a sad girl crying there, says a Sudanese said to himself. His old face and white hair are full of many years, and his big head is full of wisdom. Then he slowly walked towards the two grieving lovers and asked politely why the beautiful girl was crying. Sam explained the reason with respect and interest. When the wise old man heard the reason he sat down and put the big walking cane on his lap. Then he looked left and right. When he was sure that no one no one was close by to hear what he was going to say, he opened his mouth and began to speak with great wisdom and revealed many painful truths about his poor country and its miserable people. Thus began the wise old man, with a deep voice commanding his listeners to respect him and listen carefully to his wisdom. My dear son, if the government does not take care of us humans, how can you expect them to take care of the animals? If my daughter is crying because the animals in the zoo are not fed properly, how can the government feed the animals when it is unable to feed human beings? In southern Sudan, civil war and famine. In the north of our country, people abandon their cities and villages due to lack of jobs and scarcity of natural resources. In western Sudan, there is drought and famine. The civil war has led to the killing of thousands, the rape of girls, and the burning of towns and villages in Darfur and Nuba Mountains. Livestock and wildfire, as well as humans, died of thirst and starvation. Famine causes severe food shortages, causing people to starve to death. In eastern Sudan, there are always floods and epidemics. But if my daughter is protesting about the fields in the animal cages, why she cannot look at the fields and rubbish everywhere? Believe me, son, I have lived in this city, which is supposed to be the capital of Sudan, since my childhood. In my area, we clean our homes every day and throw our rubbish outside in the dumpsters. Municipal workers didn't bother to remove it for weeks until the garbage container overflowed. Nobody is there to collect trash. The same rubbish we threw away is back inside our home. Not only our garbage come back to us, but with it flies, mosquitoes, rats, lizards, and cockroaches by the millions. Sometimes dangerous insects such as snakes and scorpions appear in our house. So if government officials do not bother cleaning our city, how can you expect them to clean animal cages? When the wise old man had spoken out his wisdom and finished his honest speech, he looked expectantly at Sammy to see if he had made his point, but he noticed that he was still winning and that his girlfriend was crying non-stop. I thank you, sir, for your interest in our country and its people. But my girlfriend does not cry over what you have mentioned. She cries over the painful separation of the two happy monkeys. What did you say? Exclaimed the Sudanese wise man. For the injustice done to the two happy monkeys. What kind of injustice was done to the monkeys? Did they sell them because there was no money? Or did they eat their flesh for lack of food? Not that either, sir. So, what kind of injustice are you talking about? We have been here before and saw two happy monkeys living together in one cage. They were so happy that we humans felt jealous of their camaraderie. Wherefore, we decided to follow suit. Unfortunately, when we came today, we discovered that one of the monkeys was not present. The remaining female monkey looked very sad, hopelessly depressed, lonely, and suicidal. We fear that if nothing is done to restore her missing lover, she may kill herself or die of grief. So we file a complaint against the injustice done to the two happy monkeys. We expected the zoo to accept our complaint and return the missing male monkey to his caged female partner. Instead, our complaint was dismissed in a very insulting manner. So, my son, that is why this girl is crying at the wise old man. In other words, she is lamenting the separation of two clumsy animals? Yes, sir. Look, my son, said the great sage angrily, but this time his wisdom slipped out of his grey head, and in its place uncontrollable anger appeared. Therefore, the sage man said seriously to Sammy, I'm old and have a long experience with women. I have been married to four of them, but I find them almost identical in their thinking and behaviors. Whether they are young or old, beautiful or ugly, rich or poor, they have the same mindsets. That is why take my wise advice and follow it. If this girl is your sister, take her to your house and then beat her with a big stick. If she is your wife, divorce her immediately or punish her with your long whip. If you have a child with her, keep her hanging on your ropes and marry another girl besides her. But if she is your fiancée, do not marry her. Get rid of her as soon as possible and find another girl who is wise and reasonable and hook yourself with her. Never associate yourself with such a silly and stupid girl. She is dumber than the two stupid animals that she is crying for their separation. When the old man gave Sam his so-called wise advice, he took his walking cane and slowly walked away until he disappeared into the crowd. However, Intisar continued to cry for a long time. She has not heard anything from the wisdom of the Sudanese wise man. Baby, how long do you want to cry for those two stupid monkeys? Sammy's mind seemed to have been infested by the wise words of the great Sudanese sage. Please stop crying and let us go and find our human friends, Salah and Muna. It is a lunchtime. Intisar says while still crying, what will what we what will we do if what happened to the two monkeys happens to our relationship? Of course, of course, this will not happen to us. We are human beings, not animals. We are rational beings with free will. No one can separate us. Salah and Firdaus were sane human beings with their own free will, and yet they were torn and separated forever by Sharia law. What happened to Salah and Firdaus is sheer evil and gross injustice. However, as human beings, we have the right to fight back and resist such inhumane treatment. They tried but failed. So who can fight and succeed against the Islamic laws of our country? Those religious laws are a violation of human rights. We should not accept them. We can refuse to accept them, but they will still be applied to us. This is exactly what happened to Salah and Firdaus. The Sharia court has separated them forever. The police took the girlfriend Firdaus from her boyfriend Salah and handed her over to her so-called legal Muslim husband who raped and killed her. As long as I am alive, I won't let anyone take you away from me. Only if I am dead can someone kidnap and rape and kill you. My dear Sami, can you fight against the law? Can you prevent the policeman from taking me by force to Hassan Mahjoub al-Hilali? Can you prevent him from raping and killing me as your evil father did to my innocent sister Firdaus? And when this evil happens to me, will you forget me and go and love another girl as your friend Salah did with Muna? I'm not as my evil father, Sami shouts angrily. And I'm not like my friend Salah. I'm Sami, and what I said I will do, I'll do for you for sure. There is no power on earth or authority in this world can take you away from me. Sami, I know you love me and I trust you. But in this country, we are just as helpless as those two innocent monkeys. I know that you will try to do everything to prevent the law enforcement officer from taking me away from you. But don't forget that you have limited power. Will be victims like Salah and Firdaus. When the five policemen raided our house and arrested my sister, I tried to prevent them from kidnapping her. They beat me and then dragged her against her will and took her to your evil father's room in the hotel where she was bound with ropes and chains. After that, she was severely beaten, starved, and brutally raped to death. Fine, my dear sir, agree with you. I can't defeat the police officers, but I have a good plan for us to avoid falling victims to these unjust religious laws. I suggest let us run before it is too late. Sami, Sami shouting to Sir, where should we run to and how can we do it? We must escape from this country. Where can we go? We'll go to one of the secular Western countries, Germany, France, America, Australia, Canada, or any other Western countries. We can go by boat through human smugglers across the Mediterranean Sea to any Arabian shore. If we do, we'll no longer be subjected to these unjust Sharia laws. No one there can take you from me by force. Women have equal rights with men. There is no Islamic law or a Sharia court there. A judge cannot issue a verdict of obedience against a disobedient Muslim wife, as happened to your innocent sister Firdaus, and no police can take a rebellious wife by force to the so-called house of obedience of her husband. I know that, but what are we going to do there? Do not forget, dear Sami, we are Muslims, not infidels. These secular laws are reserved for non-Muslims. We are Muslim people, and wherever we go, We must abide by our Islamic laws. Yes, I know, but we are going to get married and live together under one roof. Do you think it will be easy for us to immigrate to the West? I hear that it would take a long time to get visas for these secular countries, and it is high risk to try to smuggle ourselves through boats to Mediterranean Sea. Hundreds of people got drowned in the Mediterranean Sea while they are trying to cross from Africa to Europe. You are right, my sweetie, but still we should try. In the meantime, where are we going to hide? We can hide in Khartoum city. It is the capital city of Sudan. There are more than 10 million people in this big city and hundreds of foreigners. I don't know anyone in this cosmopolitan city. Who do I go to and where can I stay? Of course, you will stay with me. We'll rent an apartment and live together until we get the visas to go abroad. Sami, how can I live with you when you are not my husband? According to the law of this country, I am already married to Hassan. This is not a marriage, it is a sinister plot. I know that, but who will conduct our marriage contract? You know that there is no court marriage in our country. In order to marry you, I need a wali or another male guardian. My brother Osman died. My sister Farida has returned to Abu Dhabi. My only relative is my mother. You know that my mother will not approve of our marriage. Moreover, neither my mother, Sarah, nor my sister Farida will be accepted by Sharia as the guardian because my half brother Omar is still alive. In addition, the Imam of the largest mosque in our city, Maulana Sheikh Marzouk, as well as Maulana Abdul Muhsin Taha, the judge of the Sharia court, said that a woman cannot be a guardian. I need a man to be a guardian, and then he can authorize me to marry you and sign my marriage contract with you. Accordingly, we cannot live together as a married partners or a common law partners in this Islamic country. This cohabitation is considered open adultery and is punishable by Sharia law. If we are caught by the police, the Sharia court will convict us. You'll be given 100 lashes because you committed adultery with a girl who is not your legal wife. As for me, the Sharia court will punish me more than you because I'm a married woman. I'll be stoned to death and thus brutally murdered like my late sister Firdos. But what do you want us to do? I don't know, Sami. Our road to victory seems to be dark and difficult. But we must find a way out of this tragedy. We should not be victims of our circumstances. It seems to me that we have become as vulnerable as these two separated animals. No, we are not savages like jungle people or stupid animals. We are human beings. We have brains. We can sing, shout, and say no to injustice. When Sammy said those last words, Intisar looked at him suspiciously. Then her lips revealed an innocent smile. Before she could say anything, she saw Salah and Mona standing in front of them. The fairest innocent girl, Mona said with a smile that the time for romance and privacy is over, and now it is time for lunch. Although the four friends spent 3 days investigating the tragic murder of the second innocent girl Firdos, they discovered nothing. Their investigation started at the Hilton International Hotel, where the second innocent girl Firdos was brutally raped by the evil old man, Osman al-Tayyib. And they moved to Khartoum General Hospital, where Firdos breathed her last priests, and they also headed to the police headquarters, where the rape and murder report was reported for the first time. They finally ended up at Firdaus' tomb. In the tomb, the four friends wept bitterly for the departed innocent girl. After that, they decorated her grave and erected a large memorial stone on it. Then they wrote on it, in the memory of the beloved dead girlfriend Firdaus Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir. After visiting the tomb with heavy hearts, the four lovers returned to their city, Al Gadarif, with great disappointment.